Hello. Oh, actually, I'm going to leave you the gap. Sorry for the sound. I can hear tweeting birds. Not sure if you can hear that. Hopefully nothing. Okay. Hello. Are you a creature of habit? That's quite a open question, because the answer could be yes, and maybe those habits are good habits, or maybe those habits are not so good habits. So all I want you to understand from this episode of A Wealthy Life podcast is that your mindset has a key role to play in your success, and that managing your mind is as important as managing your money. And bear in mind, that's me, Vicky, saying that. And you know how passionate I am about managing money and controlling your finances. And now I'm saying that the role of your mindset and managing your mind is as important. You can see why I am so passionate about this. I firmly believe that it is that first mindset and money combination, the clarity, the bringing together of goals. And that's why one of the first habits and one of the first principles of a wealthy mind is about clarity. So it's your mindset, and getting clear on your finances is so important. And I want you to create good habits, and maybe you've got plenty of good habits, and I'm welcoming your good habits. I'd love to hear about what your good habits are, because I think we can all learn from one another. But I want to help you acquire maybe 3 new good habits. Maybe one of them you've done before. I'm pretty sure 2 of them will come as new for you. We'll see. Let me know. But I want you to create these habits so that they can become embedded in your unconscious now, support you in accelerating your success and enjoyment of life, because there is doom and gloom on the horizon, and I want you to be prepared. Now, what do I mean when I say habit? That would help, wouldn't it? A habit is really an activity that has been made unconscious, so you won't even be aware that you're doing it. It's easy, so there's no effort involved in it. Some people create new habits, either good or bad, by using visual cues or auditory cues, or maybe they have routines. So, for example, some people might have the habit of coming home from work and raiding the fridge, or pouring themselves a drink, or taking a cigarette after a meal. Other people might have a habit of, when they get their shopping bill from the supermarket, they immediately read the shopping bill to make sure they haven't been overcharged. I like to read restaurant bills to make sure that we have been charged for what we've asked. So there are good habits, there are bad habits, there are habits that are just a routine. And really, breathing is a habit. Okay, blinking your eyes is a habit. Some of these things can get twisted, maybe that's a bit right, changed, altered in a way. So, for example, people might have a twitch where they blink their eyes a lot, or they might have asthma, which is where they have a problem with their breathing. So there's levels of all of this, nuances of all of this, but what I want you to focus on is that there are primarily good habits that you can notice in yourself and reinforce in yourself. There are less helpful habits that you can notice in yourself and create a good habit to override the less helpful habit. So, as I said, I feel we're all going to need positive habits over the next year, so that we can remain focused on what we want to achieve, not be distracted by the media, particularly social media. And that's why I'm going to share these 3 powerful tools with you, habits with you, so that you can reshape your thoughts and create the future that you want, your way, on your terms, and not get swept up in the fear mongering that we're going to start seeing. And because you have these habits, you're going to be able to stand back from the crowd and go, oh, look, I can see what's happening here. I can see how the dialogue. I can see how the mood of the country is being manipulated by the information that comes out. And actually, it's not affecting me because I know what I'm doing and I am, oh, here in control again. Yes, Vicky, in control of your life. But actually, you know what, if you're not in control of your life, someone else is. That's the bottom line of it. You know, if you're not shaping your future, someone else is. I used the quote in the last podcast. Wayne Dwyer said, if you are not the master of your own, oh, let me work on this. If you are not the master of your own future, oh goodness, I can't remember it again. All right, I will still stick this at the bottom for you so that you can find it. Oh, and now it's come to me. There you go. You must, because he put it in a different phrase, maybe a little bit more Hollywood, you must be the producer, the director, and the actor in your unfolding story of your life. And what he meant by that is, you know, to direct, you're gonna steer the path, you're gonna play the role as the actor, and you are going to produce this because you have to do it at the other end. So you're the producer, the director, and the actor in the unfolding story of your life. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be in that position. And in order to do that, in the last podcast, I gave you some financial tips that you can use. And in this one, we're going to look at some mindset habits, some good mental habits, good mental thought processes that will help you stay strong. And also, I believe, help you notice those less helpful habits that you may still have so that you can replace them. I'm going to talk you through this, but of course, you know that you can book a call if you want, if you get stuck, or if you want to talk this through. So let's start off. The first habit, and I'm just going to do it maybe sort of chronological order, is to start your day with gratitude. I think also start and finish your day with gratitude. Let's start your day with gratitude. Now, some people meditate. Some people make it so hard to meditate that they'll never master meditation. And really all meditation is being quiet, being present in the moment. And when thoughts enter your head to distract you, like, oh, it's hot under these lights, or something's tickling my leg, you bring your thought back to the primary thought, which is, I need to speak about good habits. So that's meditation. It's just this constant thank you thought for coming in. Let me stay on track. Gratitude is really a more active introduction of thoughts into your head. So where meditation is asking you to be still, to be quiet, to be present in the moment by saying to thoughts, no, you're not needed now. Please go away. I just want to stay here and be peaceful. What I'm suggesting with gratitude, and you can do this after you've meditated even, is that you introduce thoughts into your head that are designed to help you feel positive, designed to help you feel successful, and above all, designed to help you feel grateful for all you have in your life, all that you've achieved in your life, even, depending on how you phrase them, what is about to come into your life. So it's really important that you do it this way round. And the reason for doing what I'm about to tell you in the order I'm about to tell you is it is far too easy to get distracted. So unless you are someone that already meditates, I like to do Qigong in the mornings, which is a version of Tai Chi, which is about really making movements with your arms that you concentrate on the movement and the breathing, and you're so focused on that, it's like a physical meditation. So if you do Qigong or Tai Chi or potentially yoga or meditation, then you can put your gratitude exercise around that. But if you don't already do any of that, please do the gratitude exercise this way. And what it means is probably setting your alarm 5 minutes earlier. And when the alarm goes off, in between the alarm going off and the snooze alarm resetting 5 minutes later, you lie in your bed. And in that moment, you start to list verbally or quietly in your head, depending whether you've got a partner sleeping, or if you like to journal, you can write them, so whatever your preferred style is, speak them, think them, write them. And if you've got your partner in your bed, why don't you both do it and share them? And start listing things you're grateful for. So very classic day one grateful exercise will sound something like this. I am grateful for being awake. I'm grateful for the air that I breathe. I'm grateful for a good night's sleep. I'm grateful that I wasn't too hot, too cold, whatever. I'm grateful for the bedclothes. And then you start to think, and I'm grateful for my partner, if you have a partner, and I'm grateful for my children, and I'm grateful for my parents, and you start to listen that. Then you start to list your friends. Then you might list your job or your business, and then you might list your customers, and then you sort of fizzle out. And that's great. And that is very, if you like, first level gratitude. There's nothing wrong with that. The trick is to do it long enough that you move past, if you like, the obvious things to be grateful for. And you can still every day, if you want to, be grateful for your family, but you'll start to gather it up into a collective term. I'm grateful for my health and my family. Awesome. Now let's get on to some other things that you're grateful for. And as you start to dig, you pull out this incredible list of all the things that you are grateful for that go beyond family and health. You're grateful for your ability to focus your attention on achieving the goals. You're grateful for your wealthy life. You're grateful for your ability to manage your money so that you have created a second income stream. You are grateful that you have created a wealthy life that means that you don't have to rely on work and that you can spend your time doing the things that you love. You get into deeper things that you are grateful for they're not the obvious that we would all think of, and they will become very specific to you. And if you do this with your partner, it's really interesting what you then think of as you both move through past the fundamentals of gratitude into the deeper gratitude, what you both come up with. And it's lovely to hear you share with your partner and to hear your partner share with you. If you are a family that has the luxury of sitting down to breakfast in the morning, why not do this with your children? Now, I did say do this as quickly as you can, do this in bed first so that it doesn't get distracted. But the thing about a habit is once you see the benefit of the habit, you will be able to move this habit around because you know how important it is, you know the value of it. And therefore, by starting off in bed and just thinking it, then you start to see the difference it's made to you. Then you share it with your partner, you share it in bed. Then the two of you decide to share it with your children and you have it at breakfast time. Or you do yours in the morning. And then maybe what you do is with your children before they go to bed, ask them to share what they're grateful for. Now, if you think about it at that point there, it becomes a bit like a prayer. And obviously prayer has religious connotations. And so this isn't about religion, but actually, if you think about it, a lot of people that have faith, that pray, they are quite happy in their belief system. And so what we're creating in a way is a non-denominational belief system. And you can do this for your children by saying to your children at night, what is it that you're grateful for today? So what's happened today and what are you grateful for? Depending on how young they are, this is something that they can learn, something they can pick up on. And again, as they are young, they'll probably be quite simple things that they're grateful for, but you watch as they get older or as they get more used to doing the gratitude exercise, the things that they will come out with and share with you that they are grateful for. That is number one, gratitude. Simplest form. While you are lying in your bed, list a minimum of 3, preferably 10 things that you are grateful for. As you see the value, what about adding it in at the other end of the day and making it 3 to 10 things that you are grateful for at the end of the day? And what you've done is you've sandwiched your day with this positive mindset that is about gratitude, which is about recognizing and valuing the things, the people, the feelings, the achievements in your life. How can you not then have a positive mindset? You're going to go to sleep thinking these positive things. You're going to wake up thinking these positive things. It's going to start to have an impact on your day. It's a practice that I have used for, goodness me, I would say close on 24 years now. First heard of this when I did my training as an NLP, neuro-linguistic practitioner training. And I have done it ever since. And maybe some days I forget it, but then I will remember to be grateful through the day. So that's my first offer to you. And the second thing that I want to offer to you is to take responsibility. Now, this is a much harder habit to create because this is really some linguistic magic, if you like. So what you're going to do is you're going to start to listen to the way you speak and the way you think. You're going to notice the way other people speak, and you're going to notice times when something happens and someone or yourself react. Do they react by blaming someone else, or do they react by taking responsibility for the situation? Now, an easy example here is road rage. So you're driving along and someone pulls out in front of you. Is it the other driver's fault for pulling out in front of you, or are you taking responsibility for not noticing that that other driver was about to pull out? Now, it may be that they did pull out without signaling. It may be that they did pull out without looking. But if you're going to take responsibility for your life, blaming them gets you nowhere. Saying to yourself, I need to pay more attention. That's what I'm going to get out of this. That's my lesson from this. This incident has happened, and I'm going to be aware of the fact that maybe when I'm driving, my mind wanders, or maybe because I was on the hands-free phone or chatting to my passenger, that I just for 1 second lowered my level of awareness. I am grateful that we didn't have an accident this morning, and I'm going to be more aware when I'm driving, when I come to junctions. So taking responsibility then empowers you to avoid and limit future negative eventualities happening for you. So when you're in a supermarket or you're out and someone bangs into you, is it that you turn around and you glare at them for banging into you, or are you just aware of the fact that they bumped into you, and next time you're going to be more aware and pay attention so that you can avoid people? Now, there are so many things that this will ripple into. So this is your work life. So did you get that contract you were going after? Did you acquire that customer? Was it that customer's fault, or are you taking responsibility for how you handled the sale, or how you handled the pricing, or how you emphasized the value that you were bringing to a client? Did you or didn't you get that pay rise? Is it the boss's fault for being mean? Are you blaming the boss and the business? Are we going to start blaming, and here we go, the government for the recession? Or are we going to blame the Russians for the war? Are we going to blame the oil prices? Are we going to blame the utility companies? There can be loads of blame hovering around in the next 12 months, and blame gets nothing. It gets you an argument. You know, if I start to say to you, you pulled out on me, and then you go, no, I didn't, you weren't watching, that doesn't get us anywhere, does it? If I say, oh, sorry, we bumped into one another, then I'll pay attention next time. What can you say to that? You can be rude and come back at me, but the chances are you'll go, oh, no, it was my fault. And so somebody else is taking responsibility. you still don't have to acknowledge fault, because the other thing with responsibility is that there is no blame, there is no fault, there is only a lesson for you to observe. So much like with the gratitude, there is something out of this that you can shape and use as a tool as you move forward. And this is probably the hardest out of the three that I'm going to give you, because letting go of blame, either blaming yourself or blaming others, can be a challenge for some people. It is an excuse. It's your fault. It's your fault. Well, why? What? Blaming someone else, and if it was their fault, isn't going to get you what they want, because they'll still do what they were doing and you'll still be without the result that you wanted. And blaming them doesn't imply that you're going to do anything. So it's not just about, oh, it's your fault. Great. So what will you do next? You're going to do nothing but blame them. And then out of the blame may come anger. And that then becomes all part of the negative thinking that we are determined to avoid over the next year and beyond, and for the rest of your life. So I'm quite attuned to blame. That doesn't mean to say that I don't occasionally get grumpy with a driver, but I rein myself back in and remind myself that actually the responsibility is mine. I'm driving the car. I need to be aware of who's pulling out of me or not. And if we take this back into the economic situation again, whenever it is, whatever the cycle of the economy is, whether the prices are rising or the prices are falling, whether the property market's doing well or not, whether businesses are hiring or businesses are letting people go, it's absolutely in some ways irrelevant, because at the end of it, if I am taking responsibility for my life, I am looking at the future that I want to create, the life I want to live now, and I am making sure that my mindset, my money, and my actions are all lined up and focused on creating that life that I want to live and that I want to provide for my family. Gratitude helps me with that baseline of positivity, and taking responsibility for everything empowers me. It is so powerful. I had this saying, and I can't remember if this is really a direct saying out of one of the NLP lessons that I took, or whether I've morphed it myself. But I say to myself, and have done for years, that everything in my life is a result of the actions and the decisions that I have taken. Anything that is missing in my life, or not as I would like it to be, is also as a result of the actions and the decisions I've either taken or not taken. And because I am taking responsibility, it is my decision and my actions that are determining my future. I am not allowing anyone else to have control over my future again. And if you've listened to my story, I know exactly the point where this came into play and how all of my thoughts have lined up under this one thing. It wasn't a surprise that I was being made redundant, because I got the notice to be made redundant and I had to make my whole team redundant. But at that moment when that was it, I was finally redundant. Apart from the fact that is the most awful word to say to anybody, you're redundant, you're no longer of use, you're surplus to requirements. It's just an awful feeling. But for me, it triggered a level of vulnerability that I never wanted to be in again. It just left me in a position where I didn't have money. I wasn't in control of my finances anymore. I'd had a boss. I had worked hard for that boss for 11 years. And then all of a sudden, I was surplus to requirements. I was chucked out. And I decided that I was never going to let anybody have control over my life or my finances again. And then 2 years later, when I did my NLP training, this sentence came along and it just felt like a second skin sliding over me. It was absolutely perfect. It was cool water on your feet on a hot day at a beach. It was just perfect. Everything in my life is a result of the actions and the decisions I have taken, I am taking. And anything that isn't in my life and I want it to be, that's easy. I just have to find the right action and make a decision to take it. I was so empowered. I can tell you from this moment that the combination of redundancy in 2006 and the NLP training I did in 2008 absolutely shaped how I've performed from 2009 onwards, and why I have gone from being, prior to work, first of all, a single mother on benefits, then a university student, then a university lecturer, then this word redundant, to now running my own businesses, having a property portfolio, writing 5 books, contributing to 7 more, running my own podcast, having been on 200 podcasts over the last 2 years. You know, these are my decisions that are shaping my life. And I feel so passionately that you can have the life that you want just by making the right decisions and the right actions. And that starts with taking responsibility, knowing there's no blame, there is no fault, there is no guilt, none of that stuff. It is just about bringing in the gratitude in the morning, taking responsibility throughout the day, knowing what you want to achieve because of your positive mindset, and then setting in place the actions that are going to create the life that you want. And that leads me neatly to the third example, or the third skill. And that third skill I've told you about before in one of the previous podcasts is setting this alarm at 3:33. So first of all, let me explain 3:33. Why 3:33? Well, it's 3 threes. That's quite a nice set of numbers. 3:33 in the afternoon is actually a good time, in that quite a lot of the day has gone by, but then also there is still 2 hours, 3 hours of a regular working day left. There's still a whole evening left. And so it's that point in the day where, if you have set about some goals, you could have achieved them. And if you haven't achieved them, you've still got time to make a difference. And so that's what this alarm is all about, making a difference. So the first thing that you want to do is set an alarm on your mobile phone for 3:33. I'm going to do that last sentence again. So not only is 3:33 3 nice numbers and a good time, but also if you set an alarm at 3:33, it's an unusual time. It's not 1:30 or 2:30 or 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock. 3:33, it's a very specific time. When I have meetings with my mentees, or when I hold an event, and my alarm is always on, no matter what, my alarm is on, and that alarm goes off. And you'll have heard it in probably at least a couple of the podcast recordings I've done, because I've been recording in the afternoon and then the alarm has gone off. That when that alarm goes off, and then it goes off on somebody else's phone, you both know that moment that you have set the same alarm for the same purpose, and that you are aligned as people who want to make a difference in your own lives. And my wish was always, and I wrote it in my 5th book, which is called The Wealthy Retirement Plan, a revolutionary guide to living the rest of your life in style. And I wrote in that book that if we all set this alarm, can you imagine that day? And this was before the pandemic, so, you know, maybe there aren't so many people on the trains anymore, but you'd be sitting on that train carriage. It's 3:33 in the afternoon, your alarm goes. And as you reach to your bag or your jacket or your pocket, or it's probably in your hand anyway, your phone, you hear an alarm going off somewhere else in the carriage, and you look round, and that person and you share a glance and know in that moment that you are both determined to make a difference in the world. And what a powerful feeling that would be. And I've been doing this since 2012. And so far, I haven't met someone I didn't know that their alarm went off. But I hope that one day I will meet a stranger, someone I don't know, and their alarm will go off at 3:33. And then we'll be able to have a conversation about, how do you know about the alarm? And that would be interesting to have. So let's talk about the practicals. You're going to take your mobile phone, you're going to set an alarm. And if you don't know how to set an alarm, you're going to go and find your children or a neighbor's children or a young person walking down the street, and you're going to ask them how to do it. And you're going to set an alarm. And it's more complicated than setting an alarm, because not only does the alarm need to be set at 3:33 for every day, you need to change the name of the alarm. So there's no point your phone going off and the word alarm, alarm coming up. You want it to say a powerful statement to you. So ultimately, what we want is to say, how have I made a difference in the world today? And that is because if you're following the principles, you start with clarity, control, then you look at your resources, you leverage them. And the fifth step is legacy. And legacy is about how are you making a difference in the world? So the ultimate sentence that you want on there is, how have I made a difference in the world today? And if you feel like you can answer that question, you can start with that now. Or you can start with an easier question. And you might want to play with the words until it resonates with you. But the question, it has to be a question that you can answer. How have I been successful today? How have I supported my mindset today? How have I managed my money today? How have I been grateful today? So you can pick the question that you want. And whether it's about gratitude or money management or taking responsibility, any of that, the question is about, what have you done? So effectively, you're asking the question of yourself, what have I done today towards my goals? And what is my goal at the moment? And again, if you want me to book a session with you, I will help you work this out. I've done it with many of my mentees. What is it that you ultimately want to achieve? And we find the words that trigger for you. I want to be successful. I want to manage my finances so that I can invest in property. I want to take responsibility so that I know that I'm in charge of my future and my destiny. I want to make a difference in the world today. Fine. How do we make a question out of that so that when the alarm goes off and the phone speaks to you magically, you then get to reply? So, for example, I remember getting an email, and I love it when this happens. It doesn't happen that often because I forgot to ask for it. So please, if you set the alarm and something magical happens, send me an email. You know my email address, but it's vicky@wushay-associates.co.uk, or find me on social media and tell me what happened. One guy sent me an email and said he set the alarm and the alarm went off at 3:33, and he was out in the park pushing his daughter on the swing, and the alarm went off, and he knew in that moment that he was successful. His question was, how have I been successful today? And he knew in that moment that he was successful because he had taken control of his life in such a way that he didn't have to be at work. He was there present with his daughter, and not just with his daughter, but having fun with his daughter in a park, creating those memories that are absolutely invaluable. That's how he knew that he had been successful today, because he was having that moment. And that for me gives me goosebumps. I mean, quite a lot of the stuff that I share with you, even when we're talking about managing money, gives me goosebumps, because I don't know, it evokes a response in me that reminds me that I'm taking control. Here's the word again. I'm taking control of my life, and I just want to share this with you. I really do. So look, enough. Let's bring this to a close. There are 3 things that you can do. Number 1, set your alarm slightly earlier and introduce gratitude, so that you start by lying in the bed. You don't move. You can do it with your eyes closed, or you can sit up and you can write in a journal, and you list 3 to 10 things every day that you are grateful for. You can then bring that in the evening. You can share it with your partner. You can share it with your children, but you do it, and you do it for at least a month. Potentially, after about 5 or 10 days, you will see that your things that you are grateful for, the attributes that you are grateful for, start to have a deeper meaning. They're not just the surface possessions. They're not just the fairly obvious family. They're not just the fairly obvious things that happen in our life. You're starting to become aware of deeper elements that are at play in your life that you are grateful for and why you are grateful for them. If you meditate, add it with your meditation at the end, but please do this. Second, take responsibility. Remember, this is an exercise in language. So what you're going to do is notice when a situation happens, how do you react? Do you blame others? Do others blame you? And if you're in a relationship and both of you are busy blaming one another, there's a perfect storm of a fight there. Whereas if one of you takes responsibility, you can then get to the stage where you both start taking responsibility. Everything in your life is a result of the actions and the decisions you have taken to now. Anything missing in your life is also a result of the actions and the decisions you've taken, and maybe of those that you haven't taken. You can shape your life the way you want. And that brings us into 333, which is the opportunity to check on a daily basis. It doesn't matter whether you're in a meeting. It doesn't matter whether you're on the train. It doesn't matter. At any point, that alarm goes off at 3:33. You've heard it on this podcast. It will go off all the time. The only time it doesn't go off for me is if I was in hospital or when we go diving and we're out on the boats. And that's mainly because the phone is locked away in a safe somewhere. But as long as that phone is with me and I'm breathing, that alarm is on, and that alarm goes off at 3:33 in the afternoon every day. And it asks me the question, how have I been successful today? Because for me, how have I been successful means everything. How have I supported my mindset, managed my money, taken responsibility, and made a difference in the world? And that is what I'm working to. And the most powerful sentence for me is, how have I been successful? Because I am very acutely aware of my goals. So pick a sentence that works for you. And again, happy to help if I can. Probably out of all of this, the thing that is going to take you longest in a way to create as a habit will be letting go of blame. Easiest will be setting the alarm. Hardest will not be switching it off. And then with just a little bit of practice, you will master gratitude, and you will have 3 such powerful supporting habits that I guarantee you that when we speak in a year from now, you will have ridden through whatever is next on the world's and the planet and the universe's plan for us, from pandemic and wars and recessions and everything else. There's always something, but you will be able to stay firm and focused on what you want to achieve. So to round up, the purpose of this episode was really to replant or even transplant some of our first seedlings, which is around mindset being so crucial to success. Think, for example, of Richard Branson. Is he happy because he's rich? Well, probably. Or did he always have a positive mindset and that set him off? If you follow him on Instagram and you look at his posts, they're about what makes him happy in life and his family. So you look at successful people and their positive mindsets were the things that got them going in the early stages. And yes, maybe some of them rose from adversity, but the way that they rose from adversity was out of a positive mindset supporting them. And I've given you 3 powerful tools to help you. Above all, as usual, may I ask, please, that you subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss out on any future episodes. Catch up on any past episodes, and of course, revisit your favorite ones. If you didn't listen to last week, maybe go back to last week and listen to that. I'd love it if you left a review, and let's start sharing this podcast with family, with friends, with work colleagues, with clients. Let's all together make a plan for a wealthy life. We need to come together over these coming months so that we can outshout, win against all of the noise that's going to be out there, that's going to be negative, because we can turn this around ourselves. We're not reliant on government. We can make a difference. We are business owners. We are senior managers. We are citizens of this country. We are visitors on this planet. and we can collectively come together and shape this and make it a wealthy life for ourselves and for everyone else. And I will now stop and thank you for your precious time. Thank you for listening to a Wealthy Life podcast. My name is Vicky Whooshea, and I hope that this episode has brought you some much needed whoosh into your life.